So welcome to domain 2. In this domain, which is our domain for asset security, we are going to talk about the concepts, the principles, the structures, and the standards to monitor and secure assets. What are the controls that we're going to put in place for confidentiality, integrity, and availability? By the way, these definitions are specific to the CBK that is provided by CISSP, right? We're going to talk about operational security. How do we ensure protection and control of information processing assets? Information security management foundation of comprehensive and proactive security programs to protect our assets. Security management, which includes administrative, technical, and physical controls. We talked about the difference between each of those earlier. What is an administrative control? What is a technical control? And what is a physical control? But again, all focused on that CIA triad for confidentiality, integrity, and availability by implementing specific policies, procedures, standards, baselines, and guidelines. All right. Some of the topics that we're going to cover, we're going to talk about how do we classify information and our supporting assets. Remember, part of the first part of any risk management framework is to be able to effectively identify the assets that you have in your organization. So classifying those assets is really, really critical. We need to identify the sensitivity of those assets, the criticality of those assets within our organization. Who owns those assets? We have to determine and maintain ownership of those assets. Are you the data owner? Are you the data custodian? Are you the data user? What are the roles and responsibilities for each of those individuals? How do we protect privacy within our assets? We talk about what is the responsibility of the data owner? What kind of processes are we going to put into place to protect that information? And how do we deal with data remnants? We're going to talk about the concept of data remnants a little bit later on. How do we retain media, hardware, personnel, right? Retention means not only the birth of that element, right? Either hiring an employee or implementing a new system or acquiring new data, but the life cycle of that element as well. How do we manage and maintain that element or that component throughout its life? And then finally, in its death, meaning we're no longer using or utilizing that element, how do we ensure that we're securely retiring that component and so on. We're going to talk about what is data at rest, what are data baselines, how do we scope and tailor our policies to protect that data, what are our standards for selecting things like cryptographic features, how do we mark data, how do we label data, how do we store and destroy the data once it's no longer being utilized, right? That's an important concept. All right.